Thank you for watching this review of the GiantMouse GMF1 fixed blade knife. GiantMouse Knives is a collaboration between Jesper Voxnaes and Jens Anso, two knife designers out of Denmark, both the co-creators of the Spyderco Pingo, among many others. I was elated to find out that GiantMouse Knives was their child. The GMF1 fixed blade knife is available in N690 steel in a satin finish or in a PVD coating. It is 5.4 inches in overall length and features a 2.6 inch sheep's foot style blade. The knife weighs 1.9 ounces and is made of 4mm thick N690 cobalt steel. The GMF1 fixed blade knife is made in Italy and features a handcrafted leather sheath, also made in Italy. This knife is a great tool. In my opinion, it is the perfect size and shape. I really appreciate the sheep's foot style blade, which in my opinion is non-threatening. The blade shape itself reminds me a lot of the Spyderco Pingo. It also reminds me of the Voxnaes Anso Zero folding knife designed by Jens Anso. That features a very similar style blade, also in N690 steel. There's a lot to like about this knife. The simple design, the clean lines, the elegant style and presentation, but also the sheath that comes with it, the handmade element. Overall, it's just a wonderful package. The N690 steel is a single piece of 4mm thick steel. It does feature jimping on the top of the blade, as well as the finger choil, and on the last 3/4 of an inch of the handle. The skeletonized handle is also very nice. These holes are chamfered. The intersection of this flat surface and the flat surface on the inside of the steel, which creates a 90-degree angle, is bridged by this 45-degree chamfering, which is another way of saying beveled, except a chamfer is not an edge. Beveling refers to the edge. Plenty of room to get some paracord in there if you feel like 3 fingers is not enough grip. I've got just enough room for my first, second, and third fingers, and then my pinky to sort of lock me in and grab onto the back. My pinky is getting some meat, even if it is just the upper right-hand corner of the handle back there. Certainly enough to hold on to while maintaining a smaller overall length at less than 5.5 inches. The skeletonized handle keeps it below 2.0 ounces and gives it a distinguished, stylish look. I've actually seen a number of folks purchase scales for these knives. There's a Facebook group called the Shank Sharpeners Union. In that group, a number of individuals have shared their knives with the scales that they've purchased from custom makers, as well as some of their own paracord wrapping designs. The rounded edges on this, along with the jimping, the chamfered skeletonized holes, there is plenty here that I would not be interested in spending the extra money to cover up as much of this knife as a set of scales would cover up. In my opinion, that would just completely detract from the overall appeal and the ruggedness to this knife. Doesn't mean you shouldn't, or that I won't, at some point try a set. But for now, I've really enjoyed carrying this knife as is. The rounded steel is smooth to the touch. It's lightweight in your hand, but it feels strong and it feels dependable. One thing I really like about the shape of the blade, it's got great belly. Not a single bit of the blade isn't curved, which is excellent for cutting. It's got a very high flat grind, and I appreciate that the tip of the knife, while it's not blunt, it's not intimidating. This is a knife that looks like it could be used in the kitchen as much as it would function on the campsite or at work. There's enough about this knife that makes it as utilitarian as it is pretty. It's a designer blade, but it performs and carries like a workhorse. The N690 steel does come razor sharp. The GMF1 is a stout, sturdy, beautiful fixed blade cutting tool. The handmade Italian leather sheath is beautiful. I love the logo stamped into the front. The leather sheath retains the blade supremely well. It comes very tight, and even though it's not broken in, as it wears and breaks in, I don't anticipate retention being any issue. It's a deep enough pocket with a tight enough fit that there's no way anybody could shake or accidentally remove the knife from the sheath. This whole time we've been talking about the satin N690 version of the GMF1 fixed blade knife. This is the GMF1, also in N690 steel, but featuring a PVD coating. It's my understanding that PVD refers to the process by which the coating is applied. I don't know that the coating itself should be referred to as PVD. PVD stands for physical vapor deposition, which is a process by which a material vapor reacts with different gases to form a thin coating on the blade and the steel. The coating itself is only a few microns thick, but it is very hard. It is inert, which means it's chemically inactive. It will not interact with the surfaces or materials that it comes into contact with. Ultimately, that means there's going to be less resistance and hopefully less wear, less corrosion. Finally, there is another GMF1, the GMF1-F, in Bowler M390 steel, which is 5 millimeters thick. M390 steel is known for its decent corrosion resistance, fine edge retention, and toughness, as it is tougher than several other mid-grade steels. Here you can see the GMF1-F is a solid 20% thicker than its original counterpart, the GMF1 in satin N690 steel. The GMF1-F is every bit as smooth, still features all of the trademark jimping and rounded edges, chamfered skeletonized holes, as well as a PVD coating for an additional layer of protection and resistance to wear and corrosion. Despite the fact that the GMF1 fixed blade knife arrives in all the trappings of an extravagantly priced designer blade, Jesper Voxnaes and Jens Anso have designed and created a knife that most can afford and everyone can enjoy. Having spent more time with the satin N690 GMF1, I'm curious to see how the PVD coating holds up on the N690 GMF1-P and the GMF1-F in M390 steel. This is the perfect combination of elegance and utility. Thank you for watching this review of the GMF1 fixed blade knife series designed by Jesper Voxnaes and Jens Anso of GiantMouse Knives. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, enjoy your knives.